Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome to the J&J Show. It appears that there has been a sickness swirling through the house of UCSS.
Right?
G. Bush, out. What's G. Bush have?
He just texted us about 8 o'clock this morning saying, got to call out sick guys. Don't feel good.
Okay.
It's back in neck. Who knows?
Yeah.
And it's maybe no coincidence that G does a show with Earl on Saturdays. And Earl, who was going to sit with us, we made the call at the last minute. He just was not capable of.
He was here till 2 minutes ago.
I just sent him upstairs. This was a game time decision. You know, Luka was probable and questionable. Going into game 2 of the finals last night, Earl was questionable, and it was a game-time decision. Have to make some tough calls sometimes, and we hope Earl feels better, but he was in no shape to be
I
on
walked
the
in at
panel
10:57, and he looked like his dog got run over.
Yeah.
Like head in his hands. And
he's not in good shape at all. And he said, I did a show with G on Saturday, so, they might want to get that studio over at 92.3 fumigated because there's some UCSS germs swirling around in there. We didn't do it on purpose, I swear. It's the J&J Show today. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Did you have a good weekend?
I did. Baseball fills our lives now.
It is. When you have one that's your age and their travel, it is your life. Have you seen the funny videos on Instagram where it's just the same guy? I can't think of his name. And he's playing all the parts, but he's basically the travel league coach, and he's telling the schedule and how much it's going to cost.
Yep.
It's not far from the truth.
No. Thankfully, we missed last year. The team that we're on now went to Pigeon Forge.
Yeah.
And that was pricey. So
yeah.
we dodged the bullet on that one. We're not doing any faraway tournaments.
It's crazy. When Corey was of Little League age, we lived in Florida.
Yeah.
And they play professional baseball 12 months a year there for kids.
Yeah.
They literally think that is your son's life, and that there are no other sports, and that's it. And so there's 3 travel seasons.
Jeez.
So imagine that.
Wow.
I mean, you're buying new $400 bats every 3 months.
Yep.
Your kids it gets out of control. And the travel, for us, fortunately in Florida, it was mostly Florida-based, sometimes Georgia, but mostly Florida-based.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, you were doing these 14, 16-hour drives or flights.
Right.
But it really is a lot.
Well, we just started swim season, and football starts in a few weeks. And
one bleeds into the other.
Goes and goes
and
goes.
I remember vividly in Florida, Corey played everything. So, and because most of it plays 12 months a year at some level, it was normal for him to be changing in the back of the minivan
We've had days
while
like
we
that.
were going from soccer game at 9 a.m. to travel baseball game at noon.
Yep.
It was, and there were some days where there were 3 dates and times on the calendar, which it was nuts. But he's doing good. I saw AJ's swing over the weekend, I think, the triple.
Yeah.
He's got a real compact, not a lot of lower body movement, jab at the ball, and he's a thumper.
I mean, he
hits the ball.
We had him in studio last week, and Bull was making fun of how big he is compared to his friends. But that ball he hit over the weekend was the loudest pop I've heard off a barrel. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun, man. It's a fun age.
It is. It's great. Enjoy it. Because I'm telling you.
It goes fast, man.
It was 10 minutes ago I was in the midst of that.
Yeah, I know.
And you blink and you're like, now I'm following and cheering and rooting for the kids that my son is coaching.
Jeez.
Who, by the way, shout out to Rutgers and Corey and a young lady named Chloe. I should know her last name. Her first name's Chloe. She won the NCAA pole vault championship in Eugene last week. Set the NCAA championship meet record.
Wow.
Yeah, she is something else. Next up, Olympic trials. He's got a bunch of kids that he's going to have at the Olympic trials, which is quite an accomplishment.
That's awesome.
So good luck to all those kids. But one day you're rooting for your kid, and the next day you're rooting for his kids that he's coaching.
Yeah.
It happens fast. Life comes at you fast, as the commercial says. A lot to get into. We talk guards, Browns, Cavs. Later in the show, I'm excited about this. I haven't seen him in many, many years. Peyton Hillis is going to be here. I can't wait to ask him about the story because, sometimes Leroy can embellish. Leroy famously tells the story about he shows up with a dead deer in his trunk.
Oh, I haven't heard that story.
I think, yeah. Mike, do you remember that story?
I do, and, we love Leroy.
Yeah.
They're part of the Browns running back fraternity, so I have no reason to believe Leroy would embellish this story, but he's Leroy, so I'm going to know for a fact he embellished it a little bit. But I also have heard some stories about Peyton Hillis, and it fits right on brand with Peyton that he would show up with a dead deer in the back of his truck to a golf outing or whatever it was.
He's a unique dude, Peyton Hillis. Man, once upon a time, he got the Madden cover, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember, was it Gronk that he was up against, or maybe, I can't remember.
No, it was 2012.
No, yeah, it had to be, it was pre-Gronk.
I don't remember.
I remember we had the finalists in studio to interview before they announced the cover.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking just to myself, there's no way Peyton Hillis is getting this. I wish I could remember who he was. Michael Vick, I think. It may have been Mike Vick. Because I have a picture somewhere of me, Peyton, and whoever the other finalist was, and I want to say
it was Mike Vick. He beat Mike Vick 66-34 in the fan vote.
Yeah. Okay. I know, it's nuts. And was that pre, or that had to be?
That's post.
That was post dog convention.
Post-dog,
well, yeah, then there's no way he was going to win.
Yeah.
No way.
Well, that's also just the lunacy of Browns fans.
It really is. Yeah, Browns Mafia just full effect. They got it out there and they voted like crazy. And also, we're going to talk about some proposed Cavs, one proposed Cavs rumor.
It's a rumor.
It's
we'll
a rumor. I don't want to call it a
tomorrow.
proposed trade.
This is just a rumor. We actually have a little bit of breaking news, guys. So I'm going to chime in. Let's get the FanDuel read out of the way, and then we got an update on Ben Lively, which could be an issue. I don't know if you guys saw this yet. We'll talk about it in a sec. But summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and more, and you can bet on it all with FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on everything from the Finals MVP award to who's going to hit one out of the ballpark. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Anthony's also working from home today, so it's literally just me and you two. So it's a 3-man show with Director Steve. So apologies if tag board or anything's moving slow. So we don't have the update from Paul Hoynesy, who tweeted out the article a second ago. But he said, Guardians right-hander Ben Lively returning from road trip to undergo test on a possible injury.
Yeah.
If you go into the article, he was removed from his Saturday start after just 65 pitches. He stayed an extra night in Miami while the rest of the team traveled to Cincinnati for the upcoming series that starts tomorrow. He's going to be examined. It's an arm injury. The elbow epidemic is rampant across Major League Baseball. There's no specifics whatsoever yet on what said injury may be.
No, I know.
But he's been incredible for the Guardians this year.
They didn't stipulate elbow or shoulder, did they?
No, it just arm.
Said
he's going to get his
injury.
arm looked at. So
I immediately went to elbow because that's what's going around. It certainly has affected Guardians pitchers a lot. I like your wristband, by the way. Your
thanks.
Watch band. That's
baseball.
Nice.
Well, that's devastating.
Yeah,
if he misses any sort of time.
We were having a conversation last week and you weren't here, so I'll sort of call back to it. We had I think it was a super chat that wrote into the show. Bull said that there was a media member in Cleveland that he didn't want to name, but he knows, and he reached out to this media member who had said, just imagine if they could get more out of Ben Lively.
Yeah.
And Bull immediately reached out to him, and he brought it up to us on the show. And I'm like, get more out of Ben Lively.
He's got a sub-3 ERA.
Like, what they've received so far from Ben Lively is why this team is in first place, quite frankly.
Yes.
They're up by 4. I think he's got 5 or 6 wins.
Yeah.
He's 6-2 with a 2.59 ERA.
I mean,
that's insane.
This is ace caliber numbers almost. He's a B pitcher, top of the front of the rotation for sure. And now the irony of it is they may be staring at losing him for a while. They can't afford that. They just cannot afford it.
No. What's odd, and I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead because we don't know the location of the injury.
Right.
But,
could be arm, or shoulder, could be elbow.
But most of the severe, dramatic injuries that lead to Tommy John occur within the first 100 days.
They do, usually.
I thought that we were, for the most part, out of the woods with that.
Not quite. We're approaching it.
But if you count spring training, we are we not?
Well, if you count the 30 days leading it basically, it would be count March, April, May. That's 90.
Yeah.
We're at June.
Boy, we're right on the
10th.
fringe.
June
of
10th.
We are
100 days.
Day 100.
Yeah.
And so we're certainly at the. But you're right.
You know that better than anyone.
I always say that if you get past the middle of June, you're probably not in Tommy John type territory.
Yeah.
You might have a shoulder, but it's just bad timing.
We're just speculating on that because we don't know the.
Yeah, we don't. Could be shoulder. We don't know. But I hope whatever it is, I hope it's not serious for his and the team's sake.
Can we put an APB out on Gavin Williams?
Man,
like what? This was supposed to be a 2-week thing.
I know.
He was supposed to be back in mid-April.
Yeah.
It's June.
Well, isn't he at Columbus?
Yeah.
He had his third rehab start yesterday.
He's got to be close.
What were the numbers? I meant to look and didn't.
His third rehab start yesterday: 50 pitches, 33 strikes. He went 3 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 strikeouts.
I mean, if he's at 50 pitches, he's still 2 weeks away.
Yeah. Well, it all depends. You want to stretch him out slowly, and you want to bring him back slowly, but I can't imagine they're going to give him 3 more starts in Columbus. I just can't.
Well,
especially if Lively's hurt.
If he's at 50, you go to what, 65 in the next one, and then maybe you
go to 80, and then you're free.
Yeah,
you're good.
Yeah, so that's 10 days.
I mean, I don't know. That's
maybe you get to 65 and bring him up if you got nobody else.
I don't know if we have the same physical therapist. I use the Guardians guy for my procedure. I'm without a pitch count now.
Yep.
I'm 4 starts in. And I threw Saturday. I didn't start. It was the first game I didn't start. I just came out of the bullpen. I actually went 7, 8, 9. And I was at my 75 count limit.
Yeah.
This was my last appearance before I can now be no pitch count. And I only threw like 40-some pitches in 3 innings. And I'm good.
Yeah.
And if he's using the same physical therapy schedule that I am, and I don't know, he's a major leaguer, and there's a hell of a lot more at State, and he throws a lot harder. Maybe he is. They're going to bring him along a little slower, but I'm not sure. My fear, though, with the elbow, I have it with myself. If it's there, it's never fully right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still not entirely clear on what the injury was with Gavin.
Well, it was elbow.
Right.
But
what?
Yeah, that's the question.
And
see, they don't give you specifics.
Yeah.
I don't know if he had the 10-jet procedure that I had. I know in talking to the Guardians team about my issue that they had said that they've done this and they've had quite a bit of success with it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. Maybe is the rubber on the tire getting thin now?
Yeah.
And it works for a bit and then it wears off?
Yeah.
I don't know that he had it. This is total supposition.
Right.
They're not allowed to tell me who's had what. Those are HIPAA things. And the other thing with, I don't know if Shane Bieber had that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that they were dealing with elbow issues, and short of a UCLR, which is a 15-month rehab, this is a shortcut that's supposed to get them back and get them going earlier.
Yeah.
Now, is a Band-Aid as good as a new skin patch?
Right.
I don't know. We're finding out in real time.
Well, certainly Gavin's not ready now. And if you'd imagine Ben's going to miss some sort of time. You don't come back to Cleveland and then they say, "Okay, you're good." And
he's missing one start. I mean,
yeah, he's going to miss some time, even if it's brief, even if it's a short IL stint or whatever. I don't recall a guy ever going back and then saying, "Yeah, you're good. We'll see you on Tuesday." So
no, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work that way. So they're going to have to come up with something in the interim until Gavin is ready. I would have to imagine Gavin is still a week and a half out. At least you're going to have to figure out.
I
one
would think
turn
2.
Yeah.
I would think 2 starts.
Yeah.
So if he went yesterday, he'll probably go Thursday, maybe Friday. I don't know what their schedule looks like.
Friday.
Just say Friday, and then perhaps the following Wednesday, and then maybe he would be ready for a Sunday here 2 weeks from yesterday.
Yeah.
I would take that if we could get him then.
If you can finagle the next couple of weeks, bullpen day occasionally, Xavier Curry. I don't know.
No, you know what? You do what they have done, and that's you mix and match.
Yeah.
And you probably lean a little heavier on the bullpen, which is scary.
You can only do that for a short amount of time.
That is you pay that piper at some point.
Yeah.
And it's typically in August, in the dog days when the heat is there. Guys get dead arm.
Yeah.
And they are they're over the inning consumption where they want to be for their bullpen.
Yeah.
Both total and probably with everybody except for maybe Class A. Individually, they're running hot right now.
It leads to, again, we've talked about this. I've talked about it with Adam multiple times. It looks like they're going to have to make a move for some sort of arm, you would imagine, at the deadline.
I can't imagine they don't.
I don't know. I know they don't want to go that route. You don't want to pay those prices. especially the premium at the trade deadline,
Right.
how much more expensive even a middling guy
And
is.
Bauer is still his absolute no
They
call.
will not. You will pitch for the Guardians before Trevor Bauer will pitch for the Guardians.
Yeah, well,
so
I'll have him come out and scout me Sunday.
Jay, I got
Saturday.
a question for you guys real quick.
Yeah.
So I just reread
That's funny.
Paul Hoynes' article again just to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Right. Did he specify elbow or shoulder?
No, he didn't, which I don't ever want to be, glass half empty as opposed to half full guy, but he's coming back to Cleveland to get more tests on an injury they won't disclose any information on. That's usually not good, right?
No.
No.
I just want to make sure I'm not reading that wrong. That's typically not good.
Yeah.
And the Guardians are famous for downplaying injuries. Again, Gavin Williams being a perfect example.
Yeah.
They downplay injuries in the beginning.
That's not good.
No, it's not.
By the way, I mean, there are teams that are transparent. There are teams that probably are overly transparent when they don't need to be.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of more information. You don't have to come out and, specify everything. But the fans have a right to know. They're out supporting this team this year.
Yeah.
They have a
they
right
are.
to know. And hypothetical.
Yeah.
Are you more likely to believe that it is an elbow because they're not disclosing it and they don't want more elbow problems in the organization?
Well, no, I don't know.
You don't go that
It's
far?
going to come out eventually. If it's elbow, it's going to come out.
No,
in the
I know
next
it
day
will,
or
but
two.
why not just say it now?
I don't know.
Like, there's been a lot of elbow problems with this team.
Yeah.
A lot of elbow.
Across baseball.
Gavin Williams, Shane Bieber, Tristan McKenzie. And you're right. Is there any talk about why? Is it spin? I think it's more spin rate than anything.
I think it's no one has the answer, or they would have solved it. Right?
Yeah.
I do think. I think you do have to look at the pitch clock. I think you have to look at how hard these guys are throwing. They're telling guys now, throw it as hard as you can. Just throw as hard as you can.
I know they are.
And that was never before. That and how hard, you were talking about this, how hard they grip pitches now compared to before of hold it like an egg. That's gone.
Yeah. And by the way, when you grab a tennis ball and squeeze it, and the harder you squeeze it, the first thing you're going to feel is right here.
Yeah.
Your flexor tendon, your UCL. That's what you're engaging when you're gripping hard. And that's what's going.
And there's certain teams. I mean, Tampa Bay has had an epidemic of elbow injuries, and they're finally.
And aren't they our mirror organization?
Yeah, but it has wrecked their season. Like they're going to probably be sellers at the deadline.
Well, it wrecked our season last year.
Yeah, all of their top pitchers have had Tommy John within the last 12 months, 12, 16.
Right.
Shane McClanahan, Jeffrey Springs, and these guys are coming back now. Well, McClanahan won't be back till next year. Springs will be back probably in about another month or so. But I just think, I've said it before, I think there's something about the way that they are having their guys throw sliders.
Yeah.
And the Royals are another example. And the Royals have ties to the Guardians. They took all their guys.
Yeah.
And the way that they're taking these guys that were journeymen, that were just middling pitchers, and have turned them into bona fide studs.
Look what he's doing this
Lively here, yeah. Cole Reagan's in Kansas City. Springs in Tampa. These are guys that were just arms. They were just guys. Chris Bubich was a highly thought of prospect with the Royals for years. Nothing ever came of it. Last year he had a breakout. 3 starts in, Tommy John.
Yeah.
And he's another one that's getting close now. But I don't know if it's the way that they're having these guys throw sliders. I don't know what it is. But you look at Cleveland, Tampa, Kansas City, and Seattle's got a really good pitching development thing too going.
Yeah.
But they really haven't had. I'm talking off the top of my head. I don't recall
I
Seattle
can't either.
having injuries.
I don't remember them. They may
that
have,
the
and I
others
missed
have
it.
had.
But
those 3, and Kansas City hasn't been hammered with injuries to their pitchers, I don't think.
it seems like Tampa and Cleveland.
Cleveland.
I mean, they are. It's almost an epidemic.
It's everywhere. It's all across
It is
baseball.
sprinkled, but it seems like these two organizations have been hit particularly hard
Yeah.
with it. I don't know what the true answer is. I don't know if it's pitch clock. I don't know.
Right.
You're increasing. You're keeping the same number of reps, but you're shortening the span.
window, yeah.
What physiological effect does that have on the body? You'd have to talk to a muscle guy.
Now I
don't know.
I do know last year I've heard people within the Guardians felt like the clock is what really impacted Clase. Clase struggled to adjust to the pitch clock. Well, this year he's back to Emmanuel Clase.
Yeah.
Like he has adjusted.
Karinchak didn't adjust
fine.
to the clock
Karinchak,
either.
I think Karinchak was more sticky stuff as well.
Do you?
He never really He's never been the same guy since they took the sticky away.
No, he has not.
So I think he was more sticky. Shane was.
Where's his injury stat? What's his injury
I
status?
have no idea.
I haven't checked on him either.
He's in Siberia somewhere. He's not even mentioned that I'm aware of. But I think Shane was another sticky stuff guy. He hasn't been the same since they cracked down on the substance.
Yeah, but Shane has
That's
had
when he lost a lot of his
moments
velocity
of
too.
dominance.
Yeah, but he lost his velocity.
He did
off after that. But anyway, it's terrible news about Lively. They're gonna have to figure it out. Hopefully, Gavin will be back 2 weeks. Hopefully, no more setbacks, and they're just gonna have to figure out through the rotation, a couple turns through rotation, like you said, maybe Xavier Curry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. You're gonna have to part with some prospects, part with some of these guys that you've gotten a look at that you're not sure. I don't know what kind of trade value Arias and Bo Naylor have at this point.
Deflated.
But the more I watch them, the more I'm realizing they're probably not there yet, and I'm questioning whether they're either going to get there.
Yeah.
And it's probably too early to do that.
Yeah, you just never know with these guys.
No.
When
the light goes off, it goes off.
I don't think Naylor, they would move at all.
I feel like they're really attached to Bo Naylor.
Yeah.
And there's a lot I like about him, but, man, you can't hit 170 and stay in the lineup.
Not when David Fry is doing what David Fry is doing.
Precisely.
And he is not elite defensively, but I don't think he's terrible back there.
He's serviceable.
Yeah.
In my view.
Now, obviously,
you weren't here when we talked about the pitch framing stat. I don't know if you saw that.
No. I know that Bo's...
well, they're all... So I don't know what the official metric is. I call it calls one. Mm-hmm. Pitches one, strikes one, whatever, meaning WON. So pitches that are outside the box that are called strikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I brought that up last week. You weren't here, but number one at the time, and they're way over 94 now because just in the last week, and I've been paying more and more attention to it. They're getting them, and they're getting them in critical spots. They got one in a win the other day. Clase had two balls clearly outside the zone that were framed beautifully, both called strikes, both key spots.
Yeah.
They were at 94. The Mariners and the Yankees were tied for second at 71. And then fourth was 27.
Yeah.
There was this huge drop-off. And Seattle and Cleveland obviously have the Vogt connection.
Yep.
And New York is clearly prioritizing this from defensive catchers too.
Yeah.
But that's something I think all the other teams in baseball are going to start paying attention to now, that they've seen someone break away from the pack.
Yeah.
It's not a statistical anomaly. They're working on it. And they're conscious of it.
And the Guardians have always wanted elite defensive catchers. They're willing to trade the offense for the defense at that position.
Yeah, but when you've got, I don't know what his Hedges hitting, $130?
I'm not even sure it's that high.
Naylor's,
he's around 130, 125.
Naylor's, last I looked, was at 175 or something.
Yeah. I think if you combine Naylor, Jay, Naylor and Hedges, they're hitting exactly 300.
So it's 170 and 130, essentially.
No, not essentially. Exactly 170, 130.
Okay, that's what I thought. Now you look at David Fry.
Now here, and if you combine their OPSs, it's 806. David Fry is 200 points higher in OPS than those two combined, and 33% higher in batting average.
So at some point, the conversation organizationally has to be had. Are we gaining enough defensively to keep this triumphant thing going? Yeah. When you've got a guy that's white hot, what do you want to do with a guy that's white hot? Keep him in the lineup every day, in the same spot if you can.
Yeah.
So this conversation I would hope is taking place already. Make Fry the everyday. Use Hedges as your every fourth or fifth to give Fry a spell. And I think you could potentially harm a young player when you keep him up and you reestablish the fact every day you're a $170 hitter.
Well, and I like the fact that, when we were at the game when Naylor got hurt.
Yeah.
And Vogt said after the game, it was a strategy, it was an injury that they wanted to get David in the lineup in that spot. That's why they took him out. But
so he could have continued.
That's what he said, but then he hasn't played since.
Right. That's why I wondered about that.
And it could be, you go to bed, you wake up, now it hurts worse.
Sure.
But it's also a nice little excuse to give him
Take a week.
Days. Yeah.
Sit and watch.
Clear your head.
We're going to let this arm or whatever the injury was.
Put him on the IL.
Yeah, that's what I would.
Call it.
You hate to send him down.
You don't have to embarrass them and send them down.
Right.
But
at some point, I understand the goodwill and the family connection, and I get all of that. But at some point, the lead is 4 now.
Yeah.
You're looking at losing a front of the rotation guy for a number of starts. 4 becomes none in less than a week, if you're not right. So I get all of that, but you've got to play this thing to win it.
But the pitching injuries is also why I wonder if you stay with him, because he is elite defensively, and you need that component right now, especially when you're as thin as you are at the rotation.
That's true. What they have to ask ultimately is the defense that we pick up overshadow the 200 and, well, that 130, he's hitting 200 points higher than Hedges and 160 points higher than Naylor. That's not just a little bit.
That's
if
crazy.
It was 220 and
double.
270, you live with it.
Right.
It's double.
Right.
And the power and the on base.
Sure,
and the
everything.
RBI, the production, it is. We're going to continue our guards conversation in 1 sec, but a quick reminder, if you don't like Jay and Jason talking guards, which you'd be crazy not to, you can check out Bull and Zach on the Ultimate Guardian Show. That is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. It says every Monday, this week and next week. It is on Tuesdays because of the travel days, so make sure you guys check out the Ultimate Guardian Show tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Adam the Bull and Zach Meisel.
I wonder why they're in black and white.
Because Zach's picture on The Athletic, they only have white and black and white headshots.
Yeah.
Jason's was black and white as
Well,
well.
you certainly could have found a color
Yeah,
headshot.
I'm sure Zach has a color one he can send.
Zach was like, I like this one. So
Oh,
it was
wow.
made Bull black and white too. So
Got it. Now I know.
Play by Zach. We appreciate. They do a
Now I
great
know.
job. Guys, over the weekend though, the Guardians won 2 of 3 from Miami. They got some contributions from Rocchio, hit his first his career home run or first of the season.
First career.
Right.
Yeah.
On Saturday, 2-run shot. Freeman had a 3-run shot yesterday. Some guys who didn't necessarily produce last season are now producing in ways we hadn't seen. The question I wanted to ask: do you guys think this is just more experience, age, and maturity for these guys, finding their offensive footing, some to a higher extent than others? Or is it more of a change in the philosophy at the plate that Stephen Vogt and this new coaching staff has brought?
What do you think?
Can it be both?
It could. Absolutely could be.
It could be a
I
myriad
think-
of things,
I think
actually,
it's- I
because
think
that's
it's
my
both.
answer.
I think some of it is maturation and getting a little bit more comfortable. I mean, just because Rocchio hit 1 home run, I'm not ready to declare that he's ready.
No.
I mean, he's been a zero.
Did you see? Yeah, he has. Did you see his entrance into the dugout? That
was Freeman.
His reception.
Freeman.
That was Freeman.
Oh, that was Freeman.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
And I intentionally did not put that in here because that would derail the entire conversation.
Yeah,
So
no,
if you
I don't
missed
want to
it-
see that.
If you missed it, you can
Again.
look for it, but we're not going to show it here.
Yeah.
But Freeman's another. I mean, he's
Well, I'm talking about Rocchio, how the team ignored him when he came into the dugout.
Oh, did
I
they
thought
do
you were
that
talking
old
Tyler Freeman
stunt?
pop lock and dropping it.
Yeah, no, that I don't want to talk about. I don't want to see that again. It's some things you can't unsee, but you need to. Like, I don't want to see that again, so we're not even going to talk about that. I'm talking about Rocchio's reception
I didn't see that.
when he came into
No,
the
I didn't see
dugout.
that, no.
Everybody just was, you know how they do.
Yeah, they ignored him.
It's a form of hazing. They were completely ignoring him,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they celebrated like crazy once he finally celebrated on his own.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah, it's good to see him at least contribute offensively.
Yeah.
And Arias, like both of those guys,
I know.
have been just zeros for the most part offensively. Freeman, Freeman's going to play every day, whether it's center field for the rest of this year, whether they figure something else out and move him back to second next year.
Right.
I think he has done enough. His overall numbers aren't great. Like if you look at his OPS,
I think he has 6 home runs now.
Yeah, that was Earl must have got the stats from yesterday. Steve, take 307.
Yeah, because
that's the updated
I think
stat.
his
I mean,
These are the updated
if
stats.
you have 6, he may have 9 at the break. That paces him for 18.
Yeah.
Last year, how much did they get out of center field? Not a home run.
Steve, go back to 318. Ignore the Tyler Freeman side of this, but the Miles Straw stats are correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was his entire season.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Freeman has 6 and 27.
Freeman
this year.
already almost
Yeah, but
has
you're
as many
you're
RBIs.
combining for the 23 and 24. Straw had no home runs last year. I think that home run was in 23.
I thought he had one last year. Earl made that graphic. I'll be
I
honest.
can't-
Earl was
Yeah.
way out of it. Just drop it, Steve. Earl's way out of it today. I actually
Well, he combined 23 and 24, and that's fine. I get that.
Yeah.
But
Straw hasn't played in 24.
I think he was-
oh yeah, was he going for 22, 20? Yeah, I don't. Why would he put 24 for?
I don't know.
No, he had a home run last year.
Okay, I thought then he had none the year
No, he
before.
did. Earl on that side of the graphic was right.
Okay.
The other side was
But
wrong.
but I know Freeman has 6. The one he hit yesterday.
Yeah, no, Freeman has 6. The Freeman numbers were wrong on that. The Straw numbers were right.
So what I loved about the Freeman home run was, first of all, after the game, they asked him about pitch selection or whatever, what he hit. I think so much of this is coming from analytics, advanced scouting, and really, really, really solid hitting coach advice. So the plan for his at-bat was sit soft. And there's certain guys that you'll do that with, and you can be okay because their fastballs aren't going to blow you away. And basically, sit soft means you're looking for off speed.
Yeah.
You can do that on certain guys and get away with it because if you recognize that a fastball is coming, just try to go the other way with it and just make contact. But the scouting plan for that at-bat was to sit soft. Well, he got like an 82 or an 83 mile an hour little cookie. I think it was that sweeper.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what he's looking for.
Yep.
And what major league hitters are supposed to do is when they guess right and they get it in their spot, they're supposed to do what he did.
Hammer it.
And they did it.
Yep.
And so all of that information I bring up to say, I think it is a myriad of a lot of different things. Number one, we know the point on the hitting horizon, the philosophy, has changed. It's no longer put the ball in play at all costs.
Right.
That's no longer and what has happened, they're at or near the top of a lot of American League batting categories, which no one would have guessed. Right. They had to shift that point. What I would like to know, and I don't think we'll ever find out, was this an organizational decision? Was this Stephen Vogt coming in and saying, guys, no, it's okay to swing and miss.
Yeah.
It's okay to take the walk of shame. You're not going to get the glory if you don't go for it.
Right.
So I don't know who made that shift, but it clearly happened, and it is clearly working.
I think it was more organizational. And we talked about before that Stephen Kwan spent the winter practicing missing.
I know,
It was so ingrained in his head not to miss.
Yeah.
He had to get comfortable with failing at times. And you've seen, I mean, it's a shame he missed a month with he's still going to set a career high in home runs, even missing a month to the hamstring. I think he's got 4 or 5 already, and 6 is his career high, I think. But that's just an example of learning how to drive the ball a little bit more and being okay. Kwan's actually a crazy example. I think he was hitting like 350 when he hurt himself, when he hurt the hamstring.
Yeah.
He's hitting 370. Like he's hitting even better now than he was, but still being comfortable with driving the ball. And if it costs you a couple strikeouts along the way, so be it. It doesn't matter. You don't even have to hit it over the fence. Just getting more barrel on the ball, hitting gaps more doubles, not just singles, makes a huge difference.
What's his contract? Did he extend?
No.
Okay, priority one needs to be extending him.
It's too late.
You do think it's too late?
It's too late.
Because he's
arbitration eligible next year. This is year 3. This is his 3rd full year. He's arbitration eligible next year.
Yeah, but you could still offer an extension and get one. You're saying his team wouldn't do it.
No, I think the window, they tried extending him coming off his rookie year.
Right.
He didn't take it. The window's closed.
He's a West Coast guy, too. I wonder, does he want to go home and play in Seattle or play in, that scares me.
Yeah, I mean.
Jason, you see it, I see it, we all see it every day. This is the kind of guy who, and I hesitate to make this comparison because everybody says, oh, why? Because he's Asian? No, that's not why I'm going to make this comparison. He's got a lot of Ichiro similarities.
Well, he embraces that. He said Ichiro was his hero.
Well, then it makes sense.
Yeah,
I never heard him say that.
No, I said that when he first came up his rookie year. I was like, God, this guy looks like Ichiro, and everyone's like, all right, racist.
I know, that's why.
I'm serious.
I mean his game. If you put a mask over his face.
His stance.
And the way he makes contact, the way he can slap the ball to right field.
Yeah.
He runs aggressively.
But he said, like, he patterned his game after Ichiro, and it's obvious. But it's hard to, like, when you talk extension, it's hard to put a number on this guy because it's such a unique player. The closest comp that I can think of is Luis Ariz. And he has
with the average. That's a good one.
High average.
Yeah.
But Kwan is faster. He runs a little bit better.
Yeah.
He's got more power.
Better defensively, too.
Much better defensively. But that's the closest comp in today's game.
And what was Ariz's deal?
I don't know if he signed. I don't know if he extended. I don't think he extended. Maybe he did. No, I don't think he did. Did he?
I can't remember
because
if he
the
did.
Twins traded him to the Marlins.
No,
the Marlins,
he did not sign. He's next year he'll be a free agent.
Okay,
so like he is this year.
That's going to one that'll
he
set
is
the
this
market.
year, next year, and then free agency.
And so that's a year.
After next year he can.
So he's a year ahead of Kwan on that scale.
So that'll set the market.
But like that's the other thing. Like,
what if the Guardians blew him away with a number though?
They're not going to.
Why wouldn't they? This is a
They're
guy.
the Guardians.
I mean, you hate to do this for a guy that's so young.
Yeah.
Did he play all 4 years in college?
I think so.
He went to Oregon State, right? So he's probably 27?
26, 27, yeah.
26, 27 in there?
Stephen Kwan is 26 years old, turns 27 in September.
Okay, so at 26, you hate to project this because it's dangerous.
Right.
But if longevity is there, he could be a 3,000 hit guy.
Absolutely.
And I hate when those guys go into the Hall of Fame and there's 4 caps and you're like, well, what is
Which
it?
one? Right.
And the Guardians have to be looking at him saying, this is a chance for us to do with Quan what we did with Hosey and make sure he stays here.
That would require Quan to sacrifice tens of millions of dollars like Hosey did.
Potentially sacrifice tens of millions. Hosey did it because he had the offers in hand. He doesn't know. There's some unknowns here. That's why you can get market reduction. He doesn't know that he's not going to get hurt.
Right, but I think with pitchers, there's far more risk than there is with hitters. And
True, but he plays the game 100 miles an hour.
Once he reaches arbitration next year, now he's going to start making a little bit of money.
Sure.
And so the onus on signing one of these pre-arb deals goes away. So I personally, I think the window's closed on Josh Naylor. I think the window's closed on Stephen Quan.
Both these guys are going to get away then in your.
It is what, yeah. Like you know, and I wrote about this last week. Like you got 2 years left with Naylor. You got this year and next year of team control. That's it. I think that's right. I'm trying to go off memory
I think
now.
You're right too.
I think he's got 2 years left.
So Blitzer,
Quan has this year and then 3 more of team control.
And the Blitzer group won't have full control of the Guardians at that point yet.
No, not within the next 2
Wasn't
or 3
it
years.
projected 7 when they came in?
I think like when you look at the end of the Jose deal, when you look at the end of the Jimenez deal, I think that is Blitzer's problem. Like those last couple of years, I think are not problem, but those.
I know what you're saying. He'll be on the hook for those.
I have not gotten a firm and fast timeline from anyone.
Yeah, I can't either.
I don't know if there is one in place or if it's sort of a loose agreement. I don't know.
The way I understood it at the time of the transaction or of him coming on was he could continue to purchase increasing amounts each year until eventually he would be the majority owner. And I thought the math timetable on that was 7 years from him coming in. So if that's the case, that was a couple of years ago.
We're probably about 5 out then.
So it looks like, and that would, boy, I just tell you, you've got to lock up these guys when you look at them and you know what they are.
Right.
And everybody else is going to know what they are too.
I mean, the trend now is you sign them before their debut.
You're right. Yeah.
And they are not in that camp. The Guardians they've yet to do it. I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think that they buy into that philosophy.
Though, when you look back to the 90s run, the reason they had so much success was that John Hart said, you know what? I'm going to take a chance on all of these guys.
They were the pioneers of the pre-arb
and they all worked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you've got to really trust your scouting.
You at least had a track record when you signed them. You at least had a couple of years.
You saw a year or two.
Yeah.
But baseball, they weren't doing it that way in the game. Now, that's, of course, the way the smaller and mid-markets have to operate.
Agents tell the guys, those are bad deals. Don't sign those deals.
Yeah, because of what you could get.
Right, because of how much you're passing up. So I really think the window's closed on Quan and on Josh Naylor.
What if we offered to Stephen that we would change the name of the team to the Quanland Guardians?
It'd be tough to pass that up.
Give him part ownership in the team. I don't know. I'm going to hate to see him in another uniform.
Yeah.
That would bother me. And even Josh Naylor,
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't happen. We'll give him that flag, too. Let's throw that flag in.
Whatever the Guardians can offer, we'll add the flag and a free UCSS shirt and mug.
Do we have some left?
Yeah, we got a couple left.
And give him one of these bobbleheads, maybe the Antoine Jameson.
That is a deal changer. That's the clincher.
That's a game changer.
That's the closer.
I want to talk a little Browns now, guys. G. Bush is he's not here, but he pre-recorded an Ultimate Browns show. That will air at 5 o'clock on our YouTube page. So if you want to hear G. Bush and his Browns takes today, make sure you guys tap in at 5 o'clock. If you're watching the show, we appreciate you guys as always. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It costs $0.00 and helps us out a lot on the back end. Plus, it helps get the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show content to everyone on YouTube. So we appreciate you guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you guys check out G's show at 5 o'clock. All right, guys, over the weekend, Tyvis sent us a tweet from Jack Duffin of the OBR, which went through how much the Browns are spending at each position in terms of just their starters. This is just the starter.
Oh, this was just the starters.
Just the starters for each position group, yes.
So David Njoku is the second highest paid tight end?
Now, it's not in cap hit. It's in how much money that Jimmy Haslam and the Haslams are actually spending this year in terms of the bonus and what in 2024 that number is going to said player.
Yeah, it confused
so it's
me.
That confused me too, because when I saw that the tight end, they were number 2, I thought, well, that must be total team tight end salary.
And running back was 31.
It's because Nick Chubb is all incentive. So this is the money right now that these players are guaranteed heading into the season. Not cap hit. This is the money, the guaranteed money. So real quick, we'll run through the list. Offensively, they're paying Deshaun the 6th most guaranteed money in terms of the actual cash that has them. Not the cap hit. This is the actual cash.
I got it.
That is going. Nick Chubb is 31st because his deal is so heavily incentive-based. Once again, not the cap hit, the actual cash. Cooper, 10th. Judy, 15th. Elijah Moore, 58th.
Now, can I ask you a question? On the wide receiver 3, is that amongst wide receiver threes?
That's all wide receivers.
All wide
receivers.
I got tripped up on that, too.
Yeah, I did. I just had questions,
receivers.
So now we have a little bit of clarification.
All wide receivers. Njoku 2nd, Jed Willis 10th, Batonio 5th, Pochich 9th, Wyatt Teller 4th, and that right tackle, that's Jack Conklin.
Right.
So for the sake of this, that's Jack Conklin. That's number 10. And then I got to switch tag board because Ant's not here. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Myles Garrett getting the 7th most money for any defensive end in football this year.
My God.
Which is a bargain.
And Deshaun Watson 6th amongst quarterbacks.